Welcome to Long COVID Radical Self-Care, where I provide simple, non-medical tips and tools to help you on your healing journey. Today I'm going to talk about fueling health, or more specifically, feeding your body to promote wellness. I'm not going to advocate for any specific diet program or try to sell you any supplements, so don't worry about that. My goal is to invite you to look at food a different way and help you discern for yourself what's right for you at this time in your healing journey. The information I'm going to provide is a bit like a buffet. Take what nuggets seem right for you at this time and leave the rest for another time, or never. I want to tell you 5 things I've learned about food and eating that supported my healing. Number 1, food is fuel for healing. As humans, we need only 4 things to survive, and food is one of them, along with water, shelter, and air. Whole organic foods like fruits, vegetables, nuts, and whole grains can give your body the energy it needs for healing. Conversely, bad food, which is generally food that is highly processed, can contribute to inflammation and disease. Naturopath and health advocate Ann Wigmore said, "The food you eat can be either the safest and most powerful form of medicine or the slowest form of poison." But what does that mean in practice? An easy rule of thumb is, if you can't pronounce an ingredient, don't eat it. The more natural, unprocessed food you eat, the better. If you owned a Ferrari, would you fuel it with contaminated gas? Think of your body as a fine car. If you take care of it, it will take care of you. Hippocrates said, "Let food be thy medicine." Fueling your body for healing starts with a decision to eat food that promotes better health. Your monkey mind may try to give you reasons not to do it, like it's too expensive or time-consuming to eat healthy. But once you've made the decision, you'll look for ways to make it happen. If budget is an issue, you may not be able to switch to a lot of organic foods, but you can probably cut out some processed snacks and replace them with healthier snacks. Maybe you can visit a store with organic food and see what they have on sale or sitting on the reduced rack. As I've mentioned before, I don't recommend making changes to your diet in a way that's going to cause you a lot of stress, because stress is as detrimental to health as a poor diet. Instead, I recommend you take small, incremental steps toward healthier eating each week. It might start with adding 1 more fruit or 1 more vegetable to your diet each day, or buying bananas instead of cookies when you go shopping. Personally, I keep very little junk food in the house. I tell myself I can go out and buy a treat if I really want one, so I don't feel deprived, but I rarely ever want it bad enough to bother going out. Once I got used to healthy snacks in the evening, I was pretty content with that. And as I started to feel better and my energy level rose, it was easier to keep making positive changes. Success breeds success. Number 2, food is deeply embedded into our cultural norms and traditions. Food may technically be fuel for the body, but it means so much more to us socially and culturally. Food is part of almost every milestone and celebration of our lives, from wedding cakes and birthday cakes to romantic dinners for 2 and family Thanksgiving dinners. Have you ever noticed that our social activities and events almost always center around food? Barbecues and picnics, dinner parties, and lunch dates. Because they're such an integral part of our lives, foods often carry with them an emotional association, either positive or negative. I knew a man once who wouldn't eat peas because a nurse had force-fed peas to him when he was in hospital as a child, scratching the roof of his mouth with the fork. Do you have foods you don't like because they bring back bad memories? We all have foods that have positive associations as well. Many foods are associated with family traditions. There are foods we traditionally eat when we celebrate holidays and foods we traditionally eat when we're recovering from the flu. The specific foods vary from family to family and culture to culture, but they all represent tradition and traditions often bring us comfort. It's not just the special occasions. Everyday foods have emotional meaning too. I remember my mother baking cornbread when we were kids. When she died last year, I got the recipe from her kitchen and I've baked it a few times. It makes me feel close to her and brings back fond memories of coming into the house after a cold walk home from school and smelling warm cornbread just out of the oven and smothering butter on it and watching it melt. Making it now still warms my heart and comforts me. Are there foods that warm your heart? Spend some time thinking about them or journaling about them and allow those memories to bring you comfort now on your healing journey. I don't recommend eating too many comfort foods since they tend to be unhealthy foods, but I do believe there's a place for them in our lives. If you want to eat it once in a while and savor and enjoy every single bite. No guilt. But you don't even need to eat it to enjoy the positive emotional benefits. You can close your eyes and remember the smell, the taste, and the happy memories around that food without actually consuming it. Happiness is great medicine. I've learned I can go to family events and enjoy the company and the atmosphere and just have little bits of the food I love. I'll often make a point of eating a healthy meal before I go so I'm not as hungry when I get there, especially if there are going to be lots of unhealthy foods to tempt me. Okay, on to the third thing I've learned about food as it relates to healing. The food we choose tells us where we're at mentally and emotionally. A lot of what we eat is not based on what our bodies need as fuel. If it was, we'd eat only when we're hungry and choose healthy food all the time. Instead, our choice of food or drink is often based on what we want or need mentally or emotionally. It's almost cliche to reach for a tub of ice cream after a breakup, or reach for a drink or a bag of chips after a stressful day. We try to find comfort and consolation in the refrigerator, only to find that food does not bring the fulfillment we're seeking, but rather the opposite. Soon after it passes our lips, we feel regretful and guilty, and weight gain and poor health only adds to our problems. On the other hand, when we're emotionally healthy, we naturally eat less and find it easier to steer clear of unhealthy foods. Have you ever been so in love that for the first few days or weeks of a relationship, you can hardly eat? Why? Because you're feeling fulfilled and happy. Fulfillment makes you feel full. I remember going to a spiritual retreat once. The cafeteria was famous for their fabulous pies. I loved pies, and yet when I was there, I found myself barely able to eat anything, let alone the pies. Why? Because I was feeling so happy, so connected, so spiritually fulfilled that I had no need or desire for sweets. I think as a society we've gotten into such a habit of emotional eating we've forgotten how little foods our bodies actually need for fuel. Can you think of a time you were so happy you were almost unable to eat? Part of my healing journey has been learning to recognize emotional eating, get to the root of it, and resolve it. One of the most powerful habits I developed was to ask myself before I ate, is my body actually hungry? Does it need fuel? Often the answer is no. My stomach isn't empty or gurgling for food. I was heading to the fridge because I was bored or because I wanted the dopamine lift a sugary snack would give me. That caused me to take a deeper look at my life and ask myself, what am I really hungry for? What do I need to feel more fulfilled in my life? If you have an unhealthy relationship with food, I encourage you to journal and ask yourself those two questions. The solutions may not come immediately, but simply asking the question is a step forward on your path toward healing and fulfillment. Healing your body often involves healing other areas of your life. Okay, number 4. Restriction doesn't work in the long term. I'm not a big fan of restrictive diets because they generally rely on willpower, and willpower is finite. In other words, we eventually run out of energy to maintain the effort required to stick to a strict diet. I find it easier to focus on simple, incremental changes that will last a lifetime. I focus on adding more healthy foods and drinks rather than restricting unhealthy ones, because when you add good stuff, you'll naturally reduce the bad stuff. The goal isn't to eat perfectly, it's to eat better than you used to eat. I ask myself 3 questions. Did I eat better today than yesterday? Am I eating better this week than last week? Am I eating better this year than I did last year? I don't believe in denying myself a meal or snack I really want. I do believe in asking myself why I want it and taking a moment to consider my options before eating it rather than eating it mindlessly. The 5th thing I learned is your body will guide you to the right foods. One of the fastest ways to heal is to learn to listen to your body. It will tell you what it needs and when. It will let you know when it needs activity, when it needs rest, when it needs water, when it needs food. You'll know what food it likes and what it doesn't by how you feel an hour or 2 after eating it. When I had fibromyalgia, I discovered that I'd spent a lot of my life ignoring my body. I fed it badly. I didn't give it enough sleep to restore itself, and I continued with activities that caused pain and inflammation. Unfortunately, our society tends to glamorize and even reward behavior that hurts us. We've all seen athletes playing despite injuries and students fueled by energy drinks stay up all night studying only to find stressful jobs that have them eating fast food for lunch and working through dinner and weekends to meet a deadline. Healing comes when we slow down and start to listen to what our body needs in order to get better. When we slow down and notice what foods sit well and which cause side effects, our body is guiding us toward health. When we discern which foods give us slow, steady energy versus an energy spike and crash, our body is guiding us toward health. When we respect that our body wants rest and not another coffee, our body is guiding us toward healing. When we learn that fulfillment will come from changing careers and not a dozen donuts, our body is guiding us toward healing. Let your body guide you to health. Know that what your body needs will change over time, but the more connected you are and the more you listen, the more health, happiness, and energy you'll find. Thank you for joining me. If you found something useful in this episode, please click the like button and subscribe so you won't miss future episodes. It will also help me get this message out to others who need to hear it. Until next time, be kind to yourself and each other.